What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my Iowa Hawkeyes football preview for 2016. So I didn't get any football previews up yesterday. Arkansas was my last one, but moving back into the Big Ten and talking about a team last year that had obviously a successful season. They were able to get through the regular season, winning the Big Ten West, which I don't know if anyone predicted that at the beginning of the season. They were able to get through the regular season last year undefeated. So, big season for them. For them, hopefully they can continue the momentum from last regular season into this season. But I'll get more to that a little bit later. Now, getting into the first of my three key players, and first one I have is C.J. Beathard. Pretty much the star of the offense for Iowa. Had in my mind, a monumental season last year. He was an all-conference player, limited the turnovers for the most part, and again, besides Desmond King, the biggest name on this team, there's not much you have to say about it. I think he just has to continue what he did last year, aside from, obviously, the Rose Bowl. It was just a struggle for the entire team in that game, though. So my second key player is LaShawn Daniels, the starting running back for Iowa this year. I see him actually having a big year. Didn't do too bad last year. Had about 650 yards. I can't remember if it was 6 or 8 touchdowns, but good season for him last year. I expect him to be just a huge player for them this year. He'll have a little bit of help in the backfield from Akrum Wadley and then Derek Mitchell. But again, it is his backfield for sure. Coming back for his senior year. So my third key player is Desmond King. I'd say the overall star of this Iowa team, and probably going to be a first-round draft pick this coming NFL draft. But it is his defense. He should be able to lead the secondary, a secondary that's breaking in a new free safety, but at every other position they have returning starters. He'll be starting opposite Greg Maben, should be one of the better corner duos in the conference, if not in the country. And this should be good against the pass. Again, I think he'll be solid. He's just going to need a little bit of help in the secondary. Like I said, I think it'll come along, though. So my first X factor for Iowa is for them to continue the momentum from last regular season. I actually said that word for word earlier. A undefeated regular season last year. This was a team that I won't say came out of nowhere, but at the end of the season, people were like, "Wow, these guys are for real." They were a touchdown away, not even a touchdown away, a field goal away from being able to beat Michigan State and going to the college football playoff. They were very close. Granted, they got ran by Stanford in the Rose Bowl, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it was a very successful season. Teams like Nebraska, I think Wisconsin's going to be a little bit better. Northwestern will still put up a tough fight, and they do have to play Penn State and Michigan this year, so it will be a harder road. They caught a break last year getting to play, or not having to play Penn State, Michigan State, Michigan or Ohio State in the regular season. This year they do have to play Penn State and Michigan, so watch out for that. So my next X factor is a strong front seven. They're breaking in, I believe, 2 or 3 new starters along the front seven. Aaron Menz comes in at weak side linebacker, and then Matt Nelson, a sophomore, coming in at defensive end. Jaleel Johnson will lead a defensive line that I think will be still pretty solid this year. 3 of the 4 starters from last year return. And then Josie Jewell, one of the better linebackers in the Big Ten, will be leading that linebacking core, which I think still will be good. Very good up the middle with Ben Neiman and Josie Jewell. But anyway, move into my trap game for Iowa. And you know what? It's kind of hard to think of because it really depends on how Iowa starts the year this year. To be honest, North Dakota State could be, because, North Dakota State has competed with a lot of FBS teams in the last couple of years. At Minnesota could also be considered a trap game. I could easily see that being considered a trap game. But for me, it's going to be at Penn State, because Iowa most likely will come into that game being favored, and it's hard to know what to expect from Penn State this year. I think they'll actually be okay. I think Trace McSorley statistically probably can't do much worse than Christian Hackenberg. And then Saquon Barkley's an absolute monster in the backfield for Penn State. So it comes right after a bye week, before that against the Wisconsin game, and then after that, the Michigan game. So again, one of the things I mentioned the most from trap games is overlooking games or taking games too lightly, which turns trap games into what they are. So my biggest game for Iowa, again, kind of hard to choose from, but for me it's Wisconsin. Michigan is an enormous game. Don't get me wrong, so is Nebraska. But to me, Wisconsin and Iowa to start the year are the two favorites to win the conference. Granted, Iowa has an easier schedule than Wisconsin. But again, I think this is more of a thing because they're both in the same division. To make it to the college football playoff, you got to win your division. Obviously, if you want to make it to the college football playoff, you probably got to beat Michigan. But if you lose to Michigan and you still win the conference, and that's your only loss, then you could still get into the college football playoff. But if you lose to Wisconsin, you're not getting in. Like, that is just plain and simple right there. Again, both games are monumental, so if you are Iowa, Wisconsin, or Michigan fan, or just a Big Ten fan, you got a problem with that, then just, again, know that I think that all three of those, Penn State, all four of those, Penn State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Michigan, are all huge games. So get into my record prediction for Iowa, and in my mind, they will be going 10-3. I think it's not going to be as good as last year. It's always harder for a team when you have the target on your back. That's always something that's not mentioned enough for teams that come out, I wouldn't say come out of nowhere, but come out of the woodwork like Iowa did, just being so successful last year. They do have to play Penn State on the road. They get a lot of big games at home, so that's going to help. But I think it's going to be extremely hard to beat Michigan. Michigan's going to come back this year as one of the top 10 teams in the country to start the year. I don't think that they're going to be able to beat Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's pissed off about the way the game went last year, and that's my personal pick for the Big Ten West. And then Iowa just hasn't had good luck in bowl games the last 2 years, so I think that trend might be able to continue also. I do still think it will be a successful season for Iowa. It's going to be hard to see next year after they lose a lot after this year. Josie Jewell might be going into the NFL draft. If they lose him, they will be losing Des King and C.J. Beathard and LaShawn Daniels. So it could be rough for Iowa next year. This is their year. If they want to really make something, not just like last year. They definitely made something out of it last year, but really make that push for the college football playoff, this is the year to do it. So I'll be coming back later today with my West Virginia preview, and then if I can fit Texas A&M in today also, then I will be doing that one as well. That's pretty much it. See ya.